Salutare lumea, sunt Vlad și bine v-am găsit la un nou episod pe acest canal. Acest episod este vorba despre un joc foarte interesant pe nume KONA, în care tu ești un detectiv particular și ai fost chemat de un angajat al unui magazin să investighezi niște spargeri. Bun.
They had set up to meet at the general
Și
store,
mergem,
his client's business.
dar să văd eu dacă mă aud mai tare ca jocul. Stați un pic doar. Să dau joc un pic mai încet. Ca să mă aud eu mai tare ca jocul. Că am mai filmat vreo câteva episoade și mă auzeam foarte
Actually,
încet.
the entire village had William Hamilton's name written all over it.
Și să încercăm poate nu mai pățesc ca dățele trecute. Bun. Sper să văd bine pe filmare.
When the roads were bad, muddy, or snowed in, it was customary around these parts to close them off.
Foarte bine.
But it was also customary to ignore those signs entirely and drive there anyway.
Și ce? Road close. No. Empty bottle. Hai să mergem și în turnul ăsta. Hai mă. Și fireworks. O chestie și cu niște fireworks. Mă mănânc nas. Gata. Corvette.
Hamilton never mentioned a road blocking barrier. Why was it needed here in the back of Beyond? That would, however, be a mystery for another day. Carl had waited long enough for someone to come and raise it. Still not a soul in sight. There was no point in waiting any longer. Carl had to figure this one out by himself. Hamilton is waiting for Carl in the general store. It was time for him to get down to business. William Hamilton enjoyed a lavish country house built in the very heart of the northern forests, not too far from here. The local populace was divided when it came to the affluent man. Some saw a wealthy philanthropist dedicated to improving the region's economy. Others engaging English who would do anything to further his fortunes. And those ones hated him enough to go on about scheming against him. Hamilton had recently acquired a few local businesses, but the last straw was the reopening of a mine, which gave rise to a wave of protests and threats from the Cree people. Given these circumstances, Carl reckoned that a good number of people must be feeling compelled to oppose Hamilton in one way or another. So far, only the industrialist's house had been a target, but soon enough, Carl thought, the target would become the man himself.
I-am făcut bucăți. Deci ne-am făcut cam bucăți, o să zic. Iar un loading screen. Parcă nu m-am săturat. După 5 ore.
Carl needed to get out of there. The cold and the pain required urgent care.
Da. Totul e alb. După 5 ore. Ăsta moare pe aici. KONA. Un joc cu o poveste uimitoare. Ce facem? Mergem până la mașina asta.
The driver had taken off. It was still best to check it out and leave nothing to
Driverul
chance.
a avut o
Carl needed
soartă
help.
mai rea ca a noastră. Că a dispărut.
It was a small, locked box engraved with the letters W.H. Carl thought about taking it. Nothing was to be left to chance. Such heart-wrenching Nordic poetry that was. But Carl didn't care much about flowery language.
Ce se rupe copacul ăsta pe noi? Uite o casă. Tata Nelson. Nu? Tata Nelson.
It was so cold. Already Carl did not feel his toes
Hai că am
anymore.
văzut niște lemne aici. La 2 lemne. Hai să iau 3. Poate mai am nevoie. De lanț.
Even better than he had
De
hoped.
firework.
Carl Faubert had succeeded once more, and was now on his way to new adventures.
Tata la căldurică. La căldurică. La căldura vieții noastre. Gata. O să plec. Asta e că în minte anume s-a încălzit. Inventar. Bă, dar eu parcă am luat un first aid medkit. Țigaret. Sau un first aid medkit. Eu să iau și o țigaretă. Pentru stres.
Carl, like many of his contemporaries, felt like he had more trouble breathing when he wasn't smoking. Cigarette was his own personal breathing assistant.
Țigaretă. Aici. Ne-am pus lanț la roți. Și acum hai în mașină mică campionă de frig. Băi, vezi că dai prea tare. Te opresc singur. Și mergem tot înainte. Chid că nu văd nica. Da, merg. E... Vrei să mor, dar nimic nu se vede.
Spread out on a few acres of untouched forest, bellowing caribou, everlasting snow, and undefiled lakes. The Manistan region was no tourist hub. It was said to have been populated for millennia by Cree people, and ever since the industrial era, by the metal mining industry.
Nu, să merg tot înainte, poate nu.
The truck was running on
Nibeleaua.
fumes. Good thing that the general store was close by.
S-a încărcat. Deci ne se încarcă ceva. Ok, hai. What the fuck, unde am ajuns? Lacă nu știu cum. O benzinărie. Benzinărie. Vreau benzină. Nu mai am cum vă benzină. Nu știu. De change, nu știu ce. Se intră în ăsta. Oh my fucking god.
Carl had no trouble recognizing his employer. He had been killed. There was no need to be a detective to figure that
Criminalul
out.
trebuie să fie
But only a detective.
Equipment. camera.
Could have noticed that the killer had to have been very close, that the fatal blow had been given before the victim even realized.
Take picture.
An explosion suddenly occurred outside.
Nu închis ușa, ești prost. Ce-am luat?
According to that log, it seemed like the whole village owed some money to the general store. Carl was far more interested in the bunch of nearby addresses he had just gotten his hands on, though.
Șmecheria asta. What the fuck, timpul s-a blocat. I broke a clock.
Maintaining his composure, Carl recalled something from his military training. Wolves always stay away from populated areas. Wait, was it about bears?
Mama, e beznă. Mama, e beznă pe aici. Atent, nu clește. Uite o rangă.
The crowbar was stuck under the lift. Notwithstanding Carl's imposing stature, car lifting wasn't part of his skill set yet.
Hai să mergem. Uite generatoare. Lol. Chiar l-am lipit. Așa. Uf. Ce-am făcut? Stați așa un pic, că eu nu mai știu ce am făcut. Da drumul la curent în garaj? Nu. Lol. De unde să știu eu că trebuie șpornit?
Staring intently at the controls won't be enough to make that lift budge. The poor thing was out of power.
Nu deschide. Fugi. Ca să fugi, apoi să fugi. Acum cred că am dat să meargă curentul, nu știu. O să vedem. Da, uite că am dat să merg curentul, băi. O, se știe. De rang încoa.
At long last, the
Crowbar.
crowbar was within Carl's grasp. Surely it would come in handy at
O să
some
dau cu
point.
ea. Sunt niște lemne. Not un de log. Ok. Văd niște urme de câini. Lol, ce asta? De fapt e... Ce am cu camera?
Carl, ever diligent in his work, always carried his log on him, in which he scribbled down thoughts and leads
Așa.
alike during the course of his investigation.
Stați un pic că s-a auzit ceva. Ok. Da. Facem o poză. Am uitat să vă zic că există un monstru numit Bigfoot. Da.
Prince? Carl found a surprise at every turn. Was the camera faulty, or was there a possible lead? The Polaroid, Carl's long-standing and faithful ally, had seen a share of husbands caught red-handed cheating. There's always something out there waiting to be snapped away.
Taci un pic, mă salvez. În spatele casei. Unde era? Da, și am salvat. Bun, lume, cam atât a fost și cu această mică prezentare și ne vedem pe data viitoare. Ciao!